lots of landscaping. I have to build a barn over here. I know I've got the other barn, but the other barn has a concrete floor in it, and these two machines have metal tracks. You can't put metal tracks on a concrete floor unless you put tires or wood or something, and it's getting kind of small. So we are doing a new barn with a dirt, well, gravel floor right over there. And I'll be doing a lot of time lapses on that camera up there to kind of show how we're doing, but I got to get it all leveled off. And that shed over there, we've moved it. It used to sit right here, now it's over there. Got a neat little time lapse of that. Use the excavator, but the excavator is not leaking anymore. I have another video, I think you've seen that by now. And the bulldozer has been welded. And I even got to test out the excavator with the backyard playground project, which turned out really, really cool. But yeah, look, I got trusses already. And I've got posts, 6x6 posts. There's more than just that. I've got roofing metal for it. I hear that the siding is coming in just a couple days. Everything is really coming together. And I've got the bulldozer over there running, warming up, because I got to get this prepped for a barn. We're going 30 by 30. Like I said, a gravel floor, and that'll be enough to keep those two machines and probably some four-wheelers, side-by-sides, things like that over there. I've also cleaned out our pond. I don't think I've ever showed you the pond. It's not much to talk about, really, but it was completely caked in mud. I can show you a picture of just feet thick of mud, and I cleaned that out with the excavator. But then all of this is really soupy mud. I'm just kind of letting it dry out because there's going to be a nice flat area behind it. I got to flatten that out a little bit. It's already filling up. I just did that last weekend, and it's got a few feet of water in it. It's got a few feet left to go. And now I'm left with this pile of disgusting mud that came out of it, so I got to relocate that because I don't want that underneath my barn. It's moving dirt, and taking down old trees. A couple of gigantic dead trees were up there that if they had fallen, they would have fallen right on the barn, so got those out of the equation. I've got a time lapse set up on a security camera. There it is. And I think time lapses are cool on projects like this as we build the barn. So I don't know exactly what my schedule is going to be like over the coming weeks as we build this, because I won't have a lot of time to work inside or go on side-by-side trips or whatever. So I don't know what it's going to bring, but I'm going to hop on this bulldozer right now and level some dirt. Oh, and it's been raining nearly every single day since the project started, so we're going to be doing it a little wet. I got to get it done. I'll have to get it kind of flat, let it dry, maybe work out the details with the Bobcat once it dries out. But yeah, look at her. She's up and running. And I've got my new welds that are holding right there. Looking good. Things are starting to come together around the old 3-day weekend complex. So I had the brilliant idea of doing a time lapse while we had already begun moving the shed over. I was really worried about this shed, moving it over and trying not to break it. You know, when you start using heavy equipment and sheds made out of wood, things can get broken. But this shed is very, very strong. It's made out of 2x6s. Most of them are made out of 2x4s or less. So it's pretty rugged building, actually. Just pushing it over straight. So we're using the 6x6 post that became the post for the pole barn to slide it over. And now I'm just trying to level it up. We measured where the barn's going to be and kind of marked it so I can make it square and even with where that's going to be. It turned out pretty good. I'm pleased with it. And then stuck a little 4x4 post under it and pushed down with the excavator to lift it up so we could level it up. And we got it pretty darn level. Probably have to go back next spring or summer and level it up one more time. Probably in the summer. We'll wait. Once we got the shed moved, we had to move a lot of dirt. So I'm cleaning out the pond, and I just had feet of this nasty, sticky, wet, goopy mud, and we're just getting rid of it. Putting it over to dry behind the shed. I don't think I'll ever be able to use it for something, but we'll see. It's back there drying. See what the next season brings. So
Got my boy James running the tractor from my neighbor. Shout out to my neighbor. Thanks for letting me borrow that. It's an awesome tractor for the job. And we're just moving things around. Now we're discussing what we want to do with the next pile of dirt, because you end up with piles of dirt. This is for this and that's for that, and you have to let this sit because it's too wet. This is good to use right now, and it gets complicated when you're out there with multiple piles of dirt. So I ended up spreading out the first one with a bulldozer, and then moving all this other mud, which is still pretty goopy mud, but not as bad as the first kind of mud. And I just stacked it over there for the season, because it's going to dry, and then I'll use it for whatever else. I think around the back side of the shed maybe next year. And now I'm leveling the site for the barn. Leveling. I got a transit out there, and we're leveling. Oh, moving dirt from where I cleaned out the pond. Bring that over, level that out. Lots and lots of just back and forth leveling with that smoky old diesel bulldozer. I love messing around with that thing. Measuring it out, squaring it up, putting out stakes so we can start putting the posts in. So we're putting those in, just burying, making them all level. I've got a transit so we can get them all, at the right depth. Then we found out when we're doing the third one, we had to pull that one back out because some animal must have run over a stake and moved it by a few inches. So the building wouldn't have been square, so I'm glad we caught that before we committed. Just had to pop that one out. Now we're putting in the posts one at a time, getting it all done. Got a load of wood over there. Digging a hole, level it all out. Next morning, same thing, going at it, leveling it all up. So all those posts were pretty level. I'd say they're within 1/4 of an inch. Dropped off a little gravel in case I needed it. Turns out I didn't need it. It's still in there, and I've got a bulldozer parked on top of it. But then we went around the top, and I had that transit out there and made sure that every single post was exactly level. So the top of that beam is level all the way around, and that's what we're going to start measuring down. Mind you, I'm just making this up as I go along. I have no idea how to build a barn. So it's a lot of just watching YouTube and seeing what the building code wants and going from there. So we put those little angle support things. I'm sure there's a special name, but I don't know what it is. From here on out, I had to use a ladder, so I bumped the camera, so it's going to be a little crooked. That's okay. We're using the bucket truck as a crane to lift the trusses up into position. Then we can tack them down, and we just did that for all the trusses, but I must have bumped the security camera wire because we lost the feed for the rest of them. But you see, I just lifting one up, anchoring it down, lifting one up, anchor it down, and then the next day they're all down. We put the runners on the roof, and then we start putting the roof up there. Oh, eaves. We had to do all the eaves and the trim and all that good stuff. And then once you get that first piece of the roof up, you really fly right along. The roof went on easier than I expected. We got half the roof all done. We did the eaves on the backside, soffits I guess I should say. Got those all cut in. And that was it for that day. Next morning we're at it again. Boom, boom, boom. Throwing the roof on there. I was pretty pleased with how the roof went. You'll notice there's gaps in the days. We were fighting terrible weather. It would rain for days straight, and we couldn't work on it because it's just a mud hole up there. Now I'm putting the eave, the soffits up in there, getting it all the way across the front. He's measuring or cutting them. I'm just measuring them, sending down the measurements. Worked out pretty well. Now I started with the fascia and finished that up by myself on that day. Now this day I wasn't here. This is my father-in-law working. He's got a friend of his over, and they're doing the sides. So I had to go to work this day. Work. I had a quick meeting with the code enforcement officer. Make sure everything's going to plan. He gave us a thumbs up. That was good. And man, once they got those purlins on there, learned a new construction phrase. They really fly with putting the siding up. Especially because they're already cut to length. You don't have to trim them or anything. And then I came back and had to do some landscaping because I thought I was a little bit low on the dirt. Turns out I was a little high. Next morning, my father-in-law and I, we just finished the back wall of that barn. Worked out pretty well. Oh, and we got a man door because up until this moment, I was only going to have one door on the front, and we decided that we're gonna have 3 doors now. So I had to put the man door on the side, which meant I had to go get one and put it in today. Which, of all the things we did, putting that door in, I feel like that took the most amount of time. It's really tedious, framing it in, boxing it in, figuring out how it's gonna go. Let's see, what am I doing this morning? The peaks. Yes, the peaks. I was able to do the front with a bucket, but I couldn't do the back with a bucket. I had to do it with a ladder. So you can't see it, but that's what I'm working on right now. Had my dad come down, he helped me on this part. That was much appreciated, because I was running out of time. And then I dug the trench, because you see that shed has electricity on it. Well, when I moved it, obviously I had to disconnect from electricity, so I'm running all new power and network and security lines for the shed. And that was some hard work. And this day I remember working as fast as I could because it was supposed to rain that evening. Oh man, it was really... Boy, we got it in just before the rain hit, and it rained for 4 days straight. So running conduit to that shed, running conduit over to the red shed, and then a conduit between the barn and that gray shed for future expansion, who knows what. So it's all in there. Once we got it all done, this is for the red shed. And James helped me on that one. Pulled all those wires through, get the conduit between the two. It was a lot of conduit, but we got it in there. But once we got that all done, we started to bury it up. And in the middle of this, I broke the excavator, broke a big old piece of metal on there, so I couldn't use it. That cost me another week. It was just setback after setback, but we got her, and she is built.
So that's the barn. Still have a little bit of cleaning up to do and whatnot, and the doors, but we'll get to that later. But then we had a special bonus project, and that is the wife's daycare. We had to put 9 inches of recycled rubber mulch in, because if you have any piece of playground equipment where the child's foot leaves the ground, you have to have fall suppression. So we went 9 inches, so that way when it settles, it's 6 inches, and she'll be good. We're gonna do drainage and all kinds of stuff, so let me show you the time lapse of that. For this one, as soon as she closed up shop on Friday, we had to get started, because you can only work on it from close of business Friday, and it was supposed to be done by opening day Monday morning. You know, the state with their regulations and stuff, so that's exactly what we did. We started working that night, started leveling it down. So we're already into Saturday when I started this part right here. So I'm going down, I'm shooting for 6 inches, but going maybe just a little bit deeper, because it's going to start at 9 and settle down to 6. But during that settling process, I didn't want the mulch to escape and get everywhere. So we took down the fence. You see I'm digging just outside the fence line. I want to run that mulch to the outside of the fence. That way weeds aren't going to crawl up the fence or whatever, and the weed eater and whatnot isn't going to get in there, because I want to keep all the grass trimmings out of the mulch and the mulch out of the grass, both ways. So I figured by going out that little bit of extra, I should be able to do that. That way I can mow the lawnmower against an edge versus the weed eater against the fence, kind of a thing. I don't know. It made sense in my mind. Again, I'm no expert. I'm just making it up as I go along. So we go through, I've got the transit out, we keep measuring everything, leveling here, digging down over there, scooping around, and then we level it. I do this, I call it tracking. I don't know if that's really the thing, but just running over the whole thing with the tracks, make sure there's no rocks picking out anything like that, getting it level. And that's it for the excavator. We start bringing in the mat. We had a couple different kinds. This was left over from another project. I have the new stuff for over there. I don't know with the rubber mulch if that grass and weeds are going to be able to grow up through it, but I figure why risk it? Let's put down the mat, and then we know for sure that we're good. Just kind of making it up as we go. But then we started bringing in the mulch. 450 individual 40-pound bags of mulch. Had the in-laws there. Thank you to them for helping us bring those bags over and get them distributed. We just started bringing them. So now we're into Sunday morning. The wife's there working. I had to run out. She's trying to get that all done, putting the edging in the general vicinity, cleaning up some of our mess from the night before. And then she started to bring her playset over so she could build that. As soon as I show up though, I start with the edging. I backfilled a little bit, filling in with dirt, putting the mulch out to the edge. There I am, laying across the back. Getting it nice and straight all the way across there. That mulch, it's so weird to work on. It's kind of spongy, springy under your step. It's really weird. You can definitely see how it would
suppress a fall. It's rated for like a 10-foot fall. A kid can fall and not hurt itself. I don't know. And we walk around, kind of smooth it all out. You know, it's one of those things you never hope to test, but it's there in case. Put the fence up, so now she can technically open her business and be good. And we started building that last play set and get it all set up. And then we're officially open for business from Friday to Sunday.
So that project is done, and that project is done, minus some picking up and whatnot and some spring work on the doors. But that's going to do it for the buildings for this season anyway, because I'm chilly. It's 50 degrees outside right now. It's end of the year. I got to get back in the house. And I'd rather be in the garage working on these machines anyway. We got Dwight coming in, got a few things going on with that. I think I'm rebuilding the motor this winter. Got the Pro XP, a lot of stuff lined up for that. The Wildcat has a misfire. We got to deal with that. Lightning 2.0, we got to worry about that one too. A little side project we're doing. It'll be interesting. But yeah, that's going to do it for me out here today. I'm going inside because it's chilly. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every viewer and every subscriber, especially you members. You guys are amazing. If you aren't a member yet, I just ask you to go check that out. It's really, really cool, and I appreciate the support so much. But thanks again for watching. I hope to see you here for another video on 3-Day Weekend.